Some of these things, too, you're going to discover go like this, because they actually have two sides, which means this will come here, you'll have one here, so you're going to have something that goes like that. When this thing goes around a corner, you may have spines going on two sides like this, and knowing exactly where they end helps you. All right? The other thing you want to do is draw the spines in the front darker. You hear what I said? Light lines go back, dark lines come forward. Therefore, when you're drawing dinosaurs, the back of the dinosaur will be lighter and the front of the dinosaur will be darker. All right? And that's just true of everything. That's not just dinosaurs. All right. So, drawing the dinosaur. We look at the dinosaur from the side. You say, how tall is the back of his head versus how long is the top of his head? And I'm just going to measure a shape like this and say, there's the front. So the first thing you do is you capture this basic shape. Okay? And this is true with a lot of quadrupeds. If I'm going to draw a deer, that looks like a deer. If I'm going to draw a bison, bisons look like this. Right? If I'm going to draw a horse, horses look like that. Cow, cows are more like this. But you know, see what I mean? So you get these shapes right, then you start putting the jaw in there, which is a cylinder. What I like about this is I can say, okay, let's take this and divide it across the center. Let's take it, find the center, divide it again. So now I've got it in quarters. So I can look at the dinosaur's eye sockets, I can look at all the details on the dinosaurs, and I can figure out which quarter of that head those things appear in. Okay? So I'm just going to say, hypothetically, because I don't want to take too much time. We'll come in here and say, okay, this shows up in this quarter. And in the back here, we have two holes that show up in this back quarter. And then if we come forward, here the dinosaur head's coming down a little bit, coming forward a little bit. Here we have his jaw coming in, like this, okay? And then what I'm going to have is these shapes, and it could be from the halfway point to maybe just a little bit before the quarter point. Not everything is going to end on the quarter point. You see what I mean? So I can figure this entire dinosaur out on this, and then I can start saying he's got holes inside. I can look at his jaw down here, and again, if I do it from the side and I bring this down like this, I can bring his jaw down, you see? And then I'll come in here and say, at what point, does the jaw take a plunge down? Well, it seems to at the halfway point, it goes like this. You see? I'll come here and say, oh, I see. At about the 1/8 point, which is a little more than a quarter, of course, to the quarter point, to the halfway point, then it comes in like this. You guys see what I'm talking about? All right? So then we take this shape, and I'm going to put it in an easy position, and we're going to say, let's draw it as a box, and we're going to go like this. Remember, we started by drawing over to the back side of the box, and we'll come in and say, okay, here's the shape, right? And I'll do this by observation. Remember, we're sketching. We're not designing Prell bottles here. We're sketching. So I come in, divide it, find the center point, divide it, plot it over to the back side. Everything on this side is also on the back side. See what I mean? And then I just remember. So I'll come in here and say, I've got two holes up here. I've got one right here. And then I've got a long one in here. And then I, pull the nose forward. That's how I basically translate this area into this area. All right? Now, again, this shape is organic. There is a slightly more sophisticated way of looking at this, and I emphasize slightly, but you have to be able to grasp it. And I tried it first last week, and I could feel people drifting off into the ether, so I sort of dropped it, okay? I'm going to try again this week because it's helpful, okay? It really is helpful.